Hello there, curious minds. Welcome back to School Subjects Online, where learning is always an adventure. I'm your host, and I'm so excited to have you here today. Are you ready to explore a world far different from our own? A world of majestic pyramids, powerful pharaohs, and mysterious mummies? Well, get ready to journey back in time with me to the incredible land of ancient Egypt. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready for an amazing ride as we uncover the secrets of this ancient civilization. Imagine a time long, long ago when people believed in gods and goddesses, wrote in pictures, and built massive structures that have stood the test of time. That's ancient Egypt. Today we're going on a thrilling expedition to discover what life was like in this fascinating civilization. We'll uncover the mysteries behind their incredible architecture, peek into their schools, and marvel at their scientific advancements. We'll delve into their vibrant art, rich culture, and even discover what they ate and how they lived. Get ready to be amazed by the ingenuity and creativity of the ancient Egyptians. Our journey begins in a land bathed in sunshine, where the mighty Nile River flows through a vast desert. This is ancient Egypt, a civilization that thrived for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians believed that their rulers, the pharaohs, were not just kings, but also living gods. These powerful pharaohs ruled over a land of farmers, artisans, scribes, and priests. The Nile River was their lifeline, providing water for their crops and a means of transportation. Life in ancient Egypt was a delicate balance between the harsh desert and the life-giving river. But what is ancient Egypt most famous for? You guessed it, the pyramids. These massive stone structures are some of the most iconic symbols of this ancient civilization. Imagine standing at the foot of a pyramid, its shadow stretching out before you like a giant sundial. These towering structures were not just tombs for the pharaohs, they were also incredible feats of engineering. The ancient Egyptians believed that when a pharaoh died, his spirit needed a grand and well-preserved place to begin its journey to the afterlife. Section 3, Building Giants. Can you imagine building something so enormous without modern tools and technology? The ancient Egyptians were masters of engineering. They used simple tools like copper chisels, wooden mallets, and ramps to move and lift the massive stone blocks. It took thousands of skilled workers, years of backbreaking labor, and incredible ingenuity to construct these architectural marvels. The pyramids stand today as a testament to the determination, skill, and organizational power of the ancient Egyptians. They are a reminder that even with limited technology, humans can achieve extraordinary things. Now let's step back in time and enter a very special place in ancient Egypt, the House of Life. Don't worry, it's not a spooky house. It was actually a school, but not just any school. The House of Life was a place of higher learning, a bit like our universities today. Here, select students, mostly boys from wealthy families, learned to become scribes. Scribes were highly respected in Egyptian society because they could read and write. Imagine how important that skill was in a time when most people couldn't even sign their own names. Scribes were like walking, talking libraries. They were responsible for recording everything from important historical events and religious texts to everyday business transactions and even personal letters. Can you imagine writing everything down by hand using pictures and symbols? That's what Egyptian scribes did. They used a form of writing called hieroglyphics, which used pictures and symbols to represent words and sounds. Learning hieroglyphics was no easy task, but scribes dedicated years of their lives to mastering this ancient art. Just like you spend years in school learning new things, young scribes spent years practicing their writing, memorizing texts, and learning about math, astronomy, and even medicine. Education was highly valued in ancient Egypt because it was seen as the key to a successful life. Even though their classrooms looked very different from ours, the ancient Egyptians understood that knowledge is power. And just like their dedication to learning helped build their civilization, your education today will help you build a brighter future. Imagine a land where the river was more than just a body of water. For the ancient Egyptians, the Nile River was their lifeline, their calendar, and the source of their prosperity. They called it Ar, or Our, meaning black, because of the rich, fertile silt it deposited on the land after each flood. But the Nile's floods weren't always predictable. So, the ancient Egyptians, using their keen observation skills, learned to read the river's whispers, to anticipate its moods. They noticed subtle changes in the river's level, the color of the water, and even the behavior of animals to predict the coming floods. The ancient Egyptians didn't just rely on the Nile to tell time. They also looked up to the stars, to the vastness of the night sky. They were fascinated by the celestial dance of stars and planets, and they believed that these heavenly bodies influenced life on Earth. They observed the movements of stars and constellations, developing a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, which they used to create one of the world's first calendars. This calendar, based on a solar year of 365 days, helped them plan their agricultural cycles and religious festivals. Section 3. Healing Hands of Time. Now let's step into an ancient Egyptian healing sanctuary. Remember, this was long before X-rays and antibiotics. Yet the ancient Egyptians had a surprisingly advanced understanding of medicine. Their doctors, known as SWNW, meaning man of touch, used a combination of observation, practical skills, and spiritual remedies to treat the sick and injured. They developed surgical tools, set broken bones, treated wounds with bandages and antiseptics, and even performed complex procedures like dentistry. Their knowledge of herbs and natural remedies was extensive, and they documented their medical practices in detailed texts called papyri. Section 4. Inventions for Life. The ancient Egyptians weren't just dreamers, they were doers, inventors who found practical solutions for everyday challenges. They needed a way to write on something other than stone, so they invented papyrus, a paper-like material made from the papyrus plant that grew abundantly along the Nile. They also developed a system of mathematics, which they used for surveying land, constructing buildings, and even brewing beer. Their ingenuity extended to everyday life, from creating cosmetics and perfumes to developing board games for entertainment. These inventions, born from necessity and fueled by creativity, remind us that the human drive to innovate has always been a powerful force. Section 1. A World of Gods and Goddesses. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world where gods and goddesses walk among us, where the sun, the moon, and the stars are not just celestial bodies, but powerful deities watching over us. That was the reality for the ancient Egyptians. Their world was filled with a multitude of gods and goddesses, each representing different aspects of nature, human life, and the afterlife. There was Ra, the sun god, who sailed across the sky in his solar boat, bringing light and warmth to the land. There was Isis, the goddess of magic and motherhood, known for her healing powers and fierce love for her family. The ancient Egyptians believed that their gods communicated with them through signs and symbols, through the rustling of leaves, the flight of birds, and even the movement of the stars. To honor their gods and seek their favor, they built magnificent temples adorned with intricate carvings and colorful paintings. These temples were not just places of worship, they were also centers of knowledge and learning. It was here that scribes used a sacred form of writing known as hieroglyphics, literally meaning sacred carvings, to record myths, prayers, and offerings to the gods. Imagine these hieroglyphs as a secret code, a language that only a select few could decipher. Death, for the ancient Egyptians, was not an end but a transition, a journey to another realm known as the afterlife. They believed that to reach this afterlife, the deceased had to navigate a perilous underworld, facing judgment for their deeds in the earthly realm. To prepare for this journey, they meticulously preserved the bodies of the deceased through a process called mummification. They carefully removed the internal organs, dried the body with salts, and wrapped it in layers of linen bandages, adorned with amulets and prayers for protection. But the ancient Egyptians didn't just preserve bodies, they preserved memories, stories, and beliefs through their art. Inside the tombs, they created vibrant murals depicting scenes from everyday life, religious rituals, and the journey through the afterlife. These paintings weren't just decorations. They were meant to provide comfort, guidance, and even entertainment to the deceased in the afterlife. Imagine these tombs as time capsules, preserving a glimpse into the beliefs, values, and daily lives of a civilization that thrived thousands of years ago. Imagine a land where the river is more than just water. It's a source of life, a highway of trade, and a calendar that dictates the rhythm of life itself. That's the Nile River for the ancient Egyptians. Every year, the Nile would overflow its banks, depositing a rich layer of fertile silt onto the land. This annual flood, predictable yet powerful, was the lifeblood of ancient Egypt. It brought water to their crops, fish to their nets, and renewed the fertility of their fields. Most ancient Egyptians lived simple lives, closely tied to the land and the rhythm of the Nile. They built their homes from mud bricks, dried in the scorching sun, creating sturdy structures that could withstand the heat. These houses, clustered together in villages, were often built around courtyards, providing shade and a place for families to gather. Inside their homes, life was a blend of practicality and spirituality. They decorated their walls with colorful murals depicting scenes from nature, family life, and their beloved gods. Amulets, believed to ward off evil and bring good luck, hung from doorways and adorned their bodies. Let's step back in time and imagine a typical day in the life of an ancient Egyptian. As the sun rises over the eastern desert, casting long shadows across the land, families begin their day. Men and boys head to the fields to tend to crops or work on building projects, while women and girls manage the household, grinding grain, baking bread, and fetching water from the Nile. Children, full of energy, help with chores, play games in the streets, and learn from their elders. Life is a delicate dance between work and play, responsibility and joy. As the sun begins its descent, casting a warm glow over the land, families gather for their evening meal. Bread, beer, vegetables like onions, lentils, and fish from the Nile are staples of their diet. They share stories, laughter, and songs, celebrating the simple joys of life. Life in ancient Egypt wasn't just about work and survival. They loved music, dance, and storytelling. They celebrated religious festivals with processions, offerings to the gods, and joyous gatherings. These festivals were a time to give thanks for the Nile's bounty, honor their gods, and connect with their community. As we reach the end of our journey through ancient Egypt, let's take a moment to reflect on the incredible things we've discovered. We've marveled at the towering pyramids, deciphered the mysteries of hieroglyphs, and explored the beliefs, innovations, and daily lives of a civilization that flourished thousands of years ago. The ancient Egyptians left behind a legacy that continues to inspire and intrigue us today. Their knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine laid the foundation for future scientific advancements. Their art and architecture continue to captivate our imaginations, reminding us of the power of human creativity and ingenuity. But our journey doesn't end here. Learning about history is like piecing together a giant puzzle, and there are always more pieces to discover. The more we learn about the past, the more we understand about ourselves and the world we live in today. So, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep your curiosity alive. There are countless more adventures waiting for you in the vast and fascinating world of history. Who knows what amazing discoveries you'll make? Remember, learning is a lifelong journey, and the more you learn, the more you'll realize how much more there is to know. Thanks for joining me on this incredible adventure through ancient Egypt. Until next time, keep exploring. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to School Subjects Online for more exciting learning adventures. See you next time.